Hello, and welcome to Blackthorn Pizza and Pub. My name's Jason, and today we're going to be talking about the old-fashioned. Everyone's heard of it, most people have had it, and the history behind it is really interesting. But to really get into the old-fashioned, you have to go back quite a ways before the old-fashioned happened. Right around the end of the 17th century, beginning of the 1800s, you have a new type of drink shows up on the market. What they've done is they've added bitters. And the bitters added into it set this apart from other drink styles at the time. Slings, punches, what have you. And the new drink got a new name. It's called a cocktail. And it became popular enough that at some point, people started wondering, what exactly is a cocktail? And in 1806, it shows up in print that the definition of a cocktail was any type of base spirit, bitters, sugar, and water. It became popular enough and started growing. So the cocktail was born. People started making different versions of it. Rye was very popular. Bourbons, Irish whiskeys. So those were the main components. But you also found recipes for gin old-fashions. Well, not gin old-fashions, gin cocktails, following that basic recipe. By the 1830s, you found these type of drinks, again, of base spirit, bitters, sugar, and water. And then by the 1860s, you started finding recipes for drinks of the same nature, but now enterprising and excitable bartenders have started adding absinthe, orange curacao, all these other type of liquors as flavoring agents to make theirs a little bit different, a little better, drawing the crowd. Here's something different. They became more and more complex. At some point, taste changed. Something happened where a return to a simpler cocktail happened, and the original four ingredients came back into play: a base spirit, bitter, sugar, and water. Again, whiskey was more popular at the time, so you had more rye, bourbon, and like Irish whiskeys being used. By 1880s, this new cocktail had a name: the old-fashioned. As the years have progressed and gone, it's underseen a little bit of changes here and there. Garnishments started coming into play. Around the 1930s, we really started seeing the usage of orange peel, maraschino cherry, or a cocktail cherry started coming into the play and stuff. And that's been the main idea behind this cocktail this whole time, the old-fashioned. Simple, very pure, very amazing. And the simplicity of it is what carries it forth. You have this wonderfully whiskey, bourbony drink, a little bit of a bitter as a seasoning agent to really bring it up and wake it up. The sugar in there just knocks the edge off. A little bit of the water, a little bit of a dilutant in it and stuff. And we'll get to the water aspect here in a minute. So let's make an old-fashioned. To make the old-fashioned, we start off with a rocks glass, also called an old-fashioned glass. Your first step, throw in a cube of sugar. Some people say use simple syrup. A lot of noted mixologists will say to use simple syrup. I prefer the sugar cube because I can control the sweetness better. If somebody wants an extra sweet old-fashioned, you add in more simple syrup. You're also adding in more waters, further dilutes the whiskey. So, cube of sugar, I think is the best way to go. It says to use bitter. Angostura, everybody's got it. It's fantastic. If you want to use something different, Peychaud, an orange bitter, some homemade bitter you bought from some guy that was wearing a scarf for some reason, use it too. Don't be afraid of bitters. Bitters is a seasoning agent, a spice. It's the salt and pepper on your steak. Once you have your bitters and your sugar cubed, Grab a muddle stick. This has a little flat end on it, works pretty good. And crush it. And work it in. Mash it. The more you do this, the more you're going to break it up. You're going to mix in the sugar. The less sugar residue you'll have sitting in the bottom of your glass. Go ahead and take your time. Once you've worked it in, then go with a whiskey or a base spirit. Rye is usually the traditional. We'll go with it. Throw in a good measure. Good little 2-ouncer. Stir to incorporate and to wash off your spoon. Set it to the side. Let it incorporate, let it mix, because you're also going to need a garnish. And grab an orange. If you got a peeler, take a nice big slice off, zest it. After 4, if you don't have an orange to waste, cut a nice little half wheel, fillet the peel. Get it on the ready. I mentioned earlier we were going to talk about the water in it. Recipes sometimes you'll find will have 1 teaspoon of water, 2 teaspoons of water, ½ ounce, 1 ounce, etc. A lot of these recipes were set up when the whiskey being used was of a higher proof. So you had 100 proof whiskey, a little bit of water in there, make it a little more drinkable. Modern whiskeys are lower proof. I say we need less water. And as soon as you add ice, physics says it starts to melt, you've got your water. Give it a little stir to incorporate. Grab your orange, express the oils, give it a little wipe down around the edge, toss your peel in. You've got a wonderfully whiskey forward beverage here. It's simple, so pure. So that's the old fashioned. If you don't like whiskey, try something different in it. If you're from Wisconsin, grab the brandy. You want to use a scotch? Do so. Just make sure you let everybody know it's a brandy old fashioned. It's a scotch old fashioned. Otherwise, take your pick and enjoy. And thank you for showing up.